right, welcome to the Ringside Podcast. I'm Daniel Spencer.
I'm Jeremy Wallman.
I'm Linda Kay.
And I'm Eric Cornish.
Guys, episode 199. It's good to be back. This is our first official show of 2024. We did some bonus episodes on our YouTube channel and our audio channel as well. Go back and check that out. We had WWE Tag Team Champions, Women's Tag Team Champion first, Jade Cargill on the show. And then we had the WWE Male Tag Team Champion, one half of that, Austin Theory, on the show. Now, he's not a fan of me, but I'm a fan of his. So if you want to know what I'm talking about,
he loves you.
He loves me, yeah. What I'm talking about, go back and listen to those episodes in the archives on the audio, the video. The video is the way to go on our YouTube page. But guys, without further ado, though, we're back for our
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back. We figured we have a lot to talk about, and it's been 6 months since we've done a full show, or maybe a little less than that, maybe almost 6, at least 5 months for sure, since we did our year-end review. It's
been almost 6. It was like I believe, if I just looked at that correctly,
it was before the holidays.
Our last full show was December the 19th.
Yeah, so we're close.
Coming up on 6.
But the thing about it is that we had certain things lined up that we were going to kind of come on earlier, and then things kind of got sidetracked because all of our lives have kind of like just kind of things have happened, good and bad. Well, I mean, mostly good. I think I don't think anything really bad has happened in our lives, but anyways, it's and we're gonna come out. We got an episode 200 coming up soon, where I would love to announce that guest, but I'm gonna keep y'all waiting, keep y'all wanting, just stay to social media for that, and then we might even have another bonus episode this week. I don't know, why not? If all things align, then we'll throw out another episode at the end of the week, and be something to be excited about. But without further ado, guys, let's talk about what's been happening in our life. Linda, why don't we start with you ladies first? Like, what has been going on in the life of Linda Kay?
What a gentleman. Is that the first time you're called a gentleman, Daniel? I'm kidding.
That's certainly not my Austin Theory.
Yes.
Well, big changes. I'm now living, by you guys. I'm now living in Louisville.
You are?
Yes, officially. I've been commuting a lot from good old Milwaukee for quite a while now, but I now, if you've been watching OVW, been grateful to be able to do commentary for Rise. So doing that weekly makes sense to make that full move. It's all about the journey, you guys. It's been quite a wild couple months for me, but I'm truly, truly excited to be down here and just being closer to you guys and just being more involved within OVW itself. Makes it easy to just head over to Davis Arena and just being around everyone more, and starting this national tour sponsored by Danos. It's been awesome. So again, lots of changes, but things are good. I'm happy here in Louisville, and I'm excited about we've been reconnecting here on the Ringside podcast.
Yeah, we have. And we did do some bonus episodes, so we have hopped in and chatted a little bit. But of course, I see you. I mean, I just went to Jeremy's house this week and saw him for the first time in a few weeks. I mean, he comes to the OVW shows, and I see him sometimes at those, but we don't really get to chat. So we sat out there, him and his brother Joey, and chatted for about a good hour. And I see Eric and Linda. I see you all the time. So we've all each other kept up with each other's lives and what's been going on. It's just that our audience doesn't know what's happening. So Eric, what's been going on with you, man?
Oh man, just a ton of stuff in life. As we mentioned toward the end of last year, where I transitioned out of the radio life and into the world of printing and print marketing through Minuteman Press, and not only helping people around town here in Louisville, but beyond with their businesses, and even wrestlers with their businesses. So I'm so happy to be doing that. And then at OVW, it's kind of cool because the show Overdrive has come back, and I've found myself behind the commentary desk as well. So that's kind of nice to have myself and AJ McKay back doing commentary together again, and every Tuesday night with Overdrive. So so that's been fun, relearning process, plus still doing the ring announcing as well. So, and glad to have Linda here on a regular basis, and not only her just making the road trip all the time, but the two of us making road trips together. It's pretty cool. So, so anyway, yeah, just enjoying life right now.
And Eric, I must add, just being a part of that trio with you and AJ McKay, I'm also the ring announcer for Overdrive. So we're still partnered up and we flip around doing Rise. That's awesome.
We don't get to sit next to each other at ringside anymore because we're always at the opposite table, but still having a good time doing it.
Just want to be passing the mic to one another.
Well,
yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is that shout out to AJ McKay who does the intro for the show, and if you're listening to the YouTube version, you don't get to hear it, but the audio version you get to hear AJ McKay doing the intro there. So he's doing big things at OVW and other places as well. So shout out to him, and it's pretty cool to see Overdrive come back, and and then Rise take it off, and we separated in 2 hours. It's a 2-hour show if you're there live, but throughout the world, throughout the United States, you might only see 1 hour, 2 hours in syndication. So sometimes you get Linda and Josh Ashcraft. Sometimes you get Linda and Brian Kinnison and Josh Ashcraft. Sometimes you get Linda and Mick Foley.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's happened too.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool thing on that. Jeremy, what's been going on with you, man? How's everything happening? What's happening with Cardinal Sports Zone?
Everything's been going good. I mean, still trying to battle this rehabilitation. It's been going slow but sure. I've been able to get out there, try to get out there every other week. The last couple of weeks that I've just been having more health issues, but ain't nothing I can't handle. Everything else is doing well. Started a couple other podcasts on the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast Network because it doesn't hurt me at all to sit and talk. So I've been trying to keep busy. Lining up those every time I see the WWE or AEW or whoever is coming to Louisville, I get immediately on the horn and hit up my contacts at the venue, and they're always so happy. I'm always so happy to talk to them. They're always so happy to talk to me. Got us two really good ones for this trip, and I have a new contact that I'm hoping to start talking to get us some monthly instead of only when they come to town. So I'm excited, man. It's been a lot of fun. Been adulting a lot more the last couple of years. So yeah, it's been smooth, man. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, man. And then it's pretty exciting. Me, I have done a lot when it comes to the took more of a role with TNA behind the scenes. I won't go into details of that, but I'm very busy when it comes to a lot of TNA. I took another role for temporarily when it came to OVW behind the scenes. Did a lot of stuff there and kept busy that way. And then I've kind of transitioned to another outside gig outside of wrestling that is pretty cool. And then it's basically been just taking in as much wrestling as I can without getting burnt out, because that's kind of a key on all that. And we got the OVW National Tour coming up. We got TNA. A lot going on with TNA, as we'll probably talk about too as well. But it's a pretty exciting time, to say the least, if you're a wrestling fan, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And there's probably things that I'm not even thinking of that I forget that I've done over the last few months that is going to pop up, or I'm going to think about here periodically. But yeah, it is a cool moment, and I'm just happy to see all of us thriving and like that's the thing too, like. People's been asking. I know they've been in your DMs. They've been in probably all of our DMs, but they've been wanting to know, when is Ringside coming back? And we constantly promote, we're the official podcast of OVW, and we still are, even though there's some unofficial guys out there. We're still the official podcast of OVW, and people just want to know when we're coming back. And it's just a matter of we need it to kind of get everything in order and make it make sense for all of us. And I know, like 2 months ago with Linda doing the move, she couldn't have done the show. 2 or 3 months ago with things that were going on. I couldn't have done the show. I committed, and same with Eric, and then Jeremy with everything you're starting up. I don't know if you could have committed to weekly as well. So it's one of those things where we wanted to all be committed. And I'm not saying we're coming back weekly because I don't know what we're doing just yet. This is not a live version. We were live the last time we did a show. This is taped. You'll see it premiere on our YouTube page and the play. We're gonna have an episode 2. And
Can y'all hear him?
Oh, did I lose me? Did you lose me?
I did.
Lost you there for a second.
Yeah. It almost sounded like nope, can't hear you now. It was almost like you were underwater in a fish tank for a second there. Nope.
Now you're gone altogether.
Oh, hang on.
There you go. You're back.
Oh, there you go.
I'm back.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. So
really quick, while Daniel's trying to figure out his microphone issues, if anybody look, we do this for so many reasons, but one is for networking. If anybody out there in the Louisville area is looking to hire somebody part-time for anything computer related, please at Jeremy_CSE, hit me up. They've not cleared me to return, just pulling the curtain back a little bit. I've not been cleared to return back for manual labor, but I can do some stuff on the computer, scheduling, any of that stuff that I am proficient in. So if you got anything like that available, holler at your boy. You good, Daniel? Are you?
I'm good.
There you go.
Yeah.
There he is.
I don't know what did y'all hear me say last?
Well, besides that, we were talking about our frequency. Like we're not sure
Yes.
if we can back weekly right now. We're still figuring things out.
Right. We're not sure if we're going to come back weekly or whatnot, but we do know that the next episode 200 is going to be we have a special guest. Going to knock your socks off. It's going to be a pretty amazing guest. We're going to have that on. That's going to be done. And then starting after that, we're going to talk about a new format, a new style that that we're going to launch, and we're going to use our partnership with OVW and get your podcast of OVW through that. We'll talk about that down the road because that's not what the show's about. The show's about just catching up, getting to talk about wrestling. That's what we love. And so why don't we start it off with speaking of OVW, why don't we start off with some things that's been going on at OVW? Who wants to take that away?
I guess I will turn it up, bring it over this way for some OVW talk. A lot of things have happened these past couple months with OVW. Being right there at the commentary table firsthand. One thing I'll just bring right now, and it is something actively taking place right now, and that is the big mystery. The mystery of who the men in black are. This has been going on for a couple months now. Somebody's letting them in, or they're pushing through security, or they're pushing through our superstars, but they're making their way into Davis Arena very often, and they're causing havoc. So the mystery is just surrounding. So we had a big part of the mystery unveiled last week. Is it like we don't really know the true relationship between our current OVW heavyweight champion, that being Crixus, and the men in black, but we saw a big change when he attacked his brothers in the ring with the steel chair and with what looks to be quite an alliance with these mysterious men in black. So that being said, guys, that's what came to mind to me when we're talking about OVW right now.
I understand the men in black are the biggest kept secret in the universe, and they're a government formed agency that protects us from aliens. And that's what I understand the men in black are. But I some of you may have known that at one time, but you've been tasered. Yeah.
There was this bright light, then all of a sudden I forgot all about it. So yeah. But I want to say this.
That's what it was. Neutralized.
I don't know who the men in black are. I don't know who's behind the men in black, but I will say this. I was so shocked. I was standing at ringside this week, and when Crixus came out and he took the chair from Dr. Asa, I was thoroughly ready for him to lead the attack on these men in black. I was shocked to see him use that chair on Shira, Tony Gunn, and on Luke Curtis. I could not believe what I was seeing. And people were like, come on, Eric, you saw that guy. I swear to you, I had no idea that was coming. And I was shocked. So Crixus, I can't believe winning the title, having the fanfare of the fans there in Davis Arena, and then turning his back on all his friends. I did not expect that. And I cannot wait to see what happens. And I got to know who these men in black are.
Yeah, and it is Crixus the architect of that. Like
I don't know.
That's my thing. Turn on like that.
We're losing you again, Daniel. My favorite OVW storyline for if we're gonna just cover what we've missed, I had to say the Tony Evans Mick Foley storyline has been a really interesting one to follow. Of course, the real one's always entertaining when he's there, and he had a little thing with Tony Gunn there for a while. Still might be going. It was going on the last time I was there. I don't know if they're still button heads or not, but man, there's just been so much. All the Bad Girls Club drama.
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about next.
Go
Absolutely.
ahead,
I mean, we had another just flip between two former best friends. I mean, you talk about the WWE Women's Champion Layla Gray against her best, or should I say, former best friend, and that being Tiffany Evans, and just the Bad Girls Club who Layla started, now turning on her. Talk about a roller coaster of a year. I mean, that was going like that between them in the locker room and in the ring, and now we have this huge face-off coming up at Independence Rage, OVW's next Saturday night special, June 28th, where you've got Layla Gray defending her women's championship against Tiffany Evans. I can't wait for that. So yeah, that's been a huge big piece that's just been continually occurring.
Will Layla be the champion at that time? Because this week she may lose that title. And if she doesn't lose that title, maybe Emma loses her career at OVW. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And that's causing more rifts between the Bad Girls Club.
Yeah. But yeah, having Mick Foley here has been awesome too, to your point, Jeremy, him and Tony Evans. And Tony Evans, I mean, he was our heavyweight champion. He became champion at our huge show at the Riverfront when OVW was a part of the big Kentucky Derby Festival celebration. That was huge and monumental in itself. 150 years of Kentucky Derby and 30 years of OVW.
I had to step away for a minute because I just went ahead and put my AirPods in. So now I shouldn't have any mic problems the rest of the show. So do you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You would think that I was having mic problems because Tony Evans was trying to get me to hush. Yeah, but that's what he does to Eric Cornish, not to me. He makes me open the ropes for him. I don't even know. One day I'm gonna like slip on the ropes and it's gonna just hit him. I don't know. I mean, accidentally happened. I mean, not on purpose.
Accidentally on purpose, yeah.
I'll tell you.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeremy. No.
All I was gonna say is I've been watching OVW probably for about 15 something years now. All the way back to when my dad would take us.
Longer than that.
Probably longer than that. Oh yeah. So about 20, maybe even
25, 30 years.
Well, not 30 years. It wasn't around 30 years
30th
ago?
anniversary.
Really?
30th anniversary. Yeah.
Well, I know my dad took me and my brother when we were kids, so that might track a little bit. But I want to say this and just be as non-hot takey as I can. Tony Evans has got it, man. He has got the it factor. You saw the first time I saw him come out, I didn't expect too much out of him. And after a little while on the mic, he improved exponentially very quickly. That guy's got everything you need to be a bona fide heel. Sorry, I've got somebody calling me. Bona fide heel in the wrestling business. And whether it's OVW he continues to terrorize or if he goes somewhere else, he's going to be a star in this business for a long time.
Yeah, and I really think over the last, only really 2 months maybe, we've seen what I consider the culmination of my time at OVW. I've been there 5 years, and you've seen, there's mainstays that have been there, and then there's guys that have worked from the bottom and worked their way up. And you've seen 3 different champions win the heavyweight title for the first time just in the last 2 months. And this is a crowning of the new faces of OVW. This is the future of OVW. And I'm talking about Crixus, I'm talking about Luke Curtis, I'm talking about Tony Evans, all three of them picking up that title for the first time in the last 2 months. So I think that is just example of what hard work can get you for all three of these guys.
Absolutely. It's been so exciting watching that. And just, you know, we're friends with all of them. And it's just so great to see just the elevation and just the past couple months or years, in some cases, just because we've been alongside some of these stars along the way, along the journey.
Yeah, it's cool to be a part of it. It's amazing to see it happen. And by the way, big shout out to some of the OVW alum for the next couple of weeks still left. You'll see certified Luke Curtis, a guy by the name of Zachary Dayton Pittman, and then you'll see TW3 as well as a guy who looks very like familiar like Buzz Backlund. You'll see them as Ali's Secret Service. He wanted the Secret Service when he came to Kentucky, and he hired 4 guys from OVW to do that. And
it looks familiar.
So you'll see them on TV for the next couple of weeks, and then also be on the lookouts for the Mammoth, Big Donovan, some other people in OVW being some security spots and whatnot over TNA over the last couple of weeks. So big shout out to them. A big shout out to what's happening, and I'm telling you, I don't think it's the last. You'll see some OVW talent on TNA over the next little bit, or maybe in WB NXT. And speaking of NXT, speaking of TNA, let's talk a little bit about the one and only TNA, because NXT that is what a amazing time. As we're recording this right now, everyone's Knockouts world champion Jordan Grace is currently wrestling on NXT, and then that's his one match, and then on Sunday coming up at Battleground, she's gonna be taking on Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's title. And that's not all, folks, because then after she either wins or loses, no matter what she does, she's going to defend next week in Chicago at Against All Odds the TNA Knockouts title against a mystery opponent. We don't know who that is. And the way things are going, anybody can show up. So it's pretty wild to see what's happening with this whole thing. And all I'm going to say is this: I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a partnership in a long time, and I feel like, and I'm just going to say it, this is going to be a true partnership.
Yeah.
Take it for what you want on that, but that's what it is. So, what do your guys think? Our thoughts and opinions of NXT and this partnership?
First off, patent pending. I said that first.
No, you didn't. I tweeted that out in January when I took a picture with former OVW alum Chris Sharp, referee that's with NXT, Chip Danning in NXT is
I
his
put
name.
that in our group chat like almost a year and a half ago. Nevertheless,
I'm just saying.
I did. And you're like, oh man, I've got the receipt. You're like, NXT, that sounds real cool. See, that's what Daniel does. He takes other people's ideas and then passes them off.
I never do that.
Every week. I'm absolutely elated that this partnership has come into fruition. By the way, Jordan Grace obliterated her opponent. The match is already over with. The crossover. So we're talking about OVW to TNA crossovers happening right now. TNA to NXT. It's a great time for wrestling fans. And I was talking to our buddy Steve the other day, and he was like, and this was no shade towards TNA, but he's like, what is the benefit for WWE to work with TNA?
By the way, that's, if you're going to name drop it, do it right. ESPN Radio's own Steve Rummage.
No, he didn't pay me this week, so I'm not going to name drop him.
Okay, my bad. I did. He paid me. So
not only that, I set him up to have to interview somebody next week that he hates. So that was payback for that. But nevertheless, Yeah, it's just we were talking about that. Well, where does WWE who pays off? How does that pay off? I said, well, because it pays off for the fans. WWE fans are happy, which means wrestling fans are happy, and people. I mean, like all of us. I mean, I don't know how hardcore of a wrestling fan Linda is or Eric is. I mean, I assume it's pretty big fans, but I do know how much me and Daniel watch wrestling. We've been doing this for almost 8 years now, doing this podcast. And for people like us, all of us, it's awesome. So it doesn't have to necessarily pay off for WWE, but it pays off for the fan. And then the fans are like, man, that was really cool of WWE to do that. It's been a long time since they allowed other promotions in to do stuff. There was the ECW crossover way back. I think it was in the late 90s. And then there where they only came, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I remember for some reason when I was a kid seeing the USWA tag team champions defend their tag titles on Superstars of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Wolfie D and
JC Ice, JBW.
JC Ice. Yeah. So there's been like little sprinkles here and there, but and you all know this because I was very critical of this. TNA has been the innovator in crossovers. They did one with Lucha Underground. They did one with Ring of Honor. They did one with AEW that I'm pretty sure they probably wish they never had it because they got absolutely zilch. They got crapped on in that crossover. But as a wrestling fan, crossovers all day long and twice on Tuesdays. I'm hoping that this leads into something more long-term. If you go back to the year end, well, it was in the middle of December, you asked me what was my hot take for this year? And I said, we're going to see crossover promotional work, not just like, and this was before Jordan Grace was even in the Rumble. But I wasn't talking about a one-off like that. I was talking about NXT working with other promotions. It did come to fruition. And I'm excited because Daniel, me and you were talking yesterday when you dropped by the house. I was like, man, I could, and of course, Daniel don't say anything because he doesn't want to be a snitch. He doesn't want to appear to be a snitch. I'm like, man, I'd really love it if Jordan wins the title at Battleground. She defends it, wins the NXT title, so I can clarify. Wins the NXT title at Battleground, successfully defends it at Against All Odds, and then a new contender comes up and she loses the NXT title at Battleground, at Slammiversary, or the creation of the pay-per-view that we've all talked about and speculated about, NXT versus TNA when worlds collide. So that's how you know this is something good, because you got somebody who's a hardcore wrestling fan like me already simulating the next 6 months like it's on NCAA football and you're trying to skip through the Eastern Kentucky week or the Murray State week. So I'm excited. I'm as excited as a wrestling fan that I have been in a long time.
So my thing is this, is that, you know, what if, and this is not a spoiler or anything, because I don't know nothing when it comes to this. But what if Jordan Grace does walk out of Battleground with the NXT Women's title?
I think she will.
I mean, look, I've been in the ring. I mean, just this week, Thursday night on Impact, you're going to see me. You're going to see her in a title match, and I'm the referee in that. I've been in the ring many times with Jordan. Jordan is a beast. She's one of the best to ever do it. But it's hard. But I mean, my 3 favorite women to work with has always been her, Deanna, and Mickie James, and just take those 3, and there you go. I mean, they're pretty much the goats of, if not the Mount Rushmore of today's women's wrestling. But it's pretty amazing, like if that was to happen, because there's so much that could take place. You're talking about then TNA, other TNA representatives could go for the NXT title. Then you could have more NXT people coming over to TNA saying, well, I want your title or whatever. And it's this whole thing that can start this whole dynamic. And that's just the knockouts in the women. We're not even getting to the men, you know, like what's going to happen there. And then we've seen all the tweets and stuff between, you know, the system and the New Day and Moose and Drew McIntyre, which we'll talk about Drew McIntyre in a little bit. but you're seeing all those things happening too as well, and it's
so awesome.
you know, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, again, I'm under the impression that, and I've heard this many times, you never say never in wrestling, but I'm literally under the impression that never say never, or expect the unexpected, as the Big Brother would say, in TNA and NXT and WWE right now. So it's that's it, and I'm just pure speculation. I don't know anything, but
can I ask all three of you a
question
question since we're on this topic? And I'll ask Eric. I'll ask you first. With all the stuff, obviously the Triple H era has been it's been the fans' era. It's not just been this or that. Do you think, with all the poking and prodding, I think you probably know where I'm going to go with this, with all the childishness and all the chicanery that Tony Khan and them have done, do you think there's ever a day where we see a joint WWE AEW pay-per-view, or has all the unprofessionalism, has that kind of put the dagger in that? Because I myself, I don't think we ever see it because of that.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say never, but I just under the current realm, it's not going to happen. I mean, because look at where we were with Vince McMahon being the guy who just was, you know, WWE is all there is, and we're not going to work with anybody else. And now Triple H has kind of got that open mind. Tony Khan's kind of become that guy. You know, I mean, he wants to open up to New Japan. He wants to open up, you know, any other, you know, random indies that maybe not everybody knows, but I can't see him trying to work with Triple H at all. But you know what?
Does the Impact crossover happen if Vince is still in charge? Not necessarily the Royal Rumble interaction, but does this storyline that's going on now, does this happen under Vince?
No way. Not to the way it's going to now and the way it's happening. You're not bringing in Jordan Grace to be a challenger for a champion. It's just not. You're not going to see that with Vince in charge. So I like the way it's going. I think it does benefit both promotions because, let's face it, I mean, TNA has more name value and a longer name value than NXT in a lot of ways. And, you know, NXT's gone through a lot of turnover. And personally, I watch it, and I don't know a lot of these people just because so much turnover has happened and people have gone to the main roster. I know more people on the TNA roster. So that may be bringing more eyes to NXT. So I think it's great. I can't wait to see the main roster get a little involved too. And honestly, we'll get to this in a little bit, but I kind of thought that might have been where we were going on SmackDown last week with the whole AJ Styles thing. But I didn't hate where it went. But anyway.
Linda,
well, before we hear Linda's thoughts on that, okay. let's pause for let's do a little commercial break here. All right, guys, I want to thank all of our sponsors. It's right when you go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use promo code Ringside, all capital letters, you save 10%. You help the Ringside podcast out of the process. You get some of the best wrestling apparel there is today, collar and elbow. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Get your summer gear in at Collar and Elbow Brand. Eric?
And let's talk about our friends at Cornbread Hemp, cornbreadhemp.com. You can get your flower-only CBD gummies that will help you sleep, help you relax, help you focus in a lot of ways. They've even got special sleep gummies that you can take that are specifically for sleep and do not contain any melatonin. They definitely help me sleep. I've used them myself. They are legal. They are all natural, and they're made right here in Kentucky. So definitely go to cornbreadhemp.com, use the promo code Ringside, and you can save with Cornbread Hemp.
And in order to make sure you are covered on or off the mats or anywhere, because ProWrestlingInsurance.com helps anybody and everybody. You don't even have to be a wrestler. You don't necessarily have to be in pro wrestling. Of course, we have our friends there at ProWrestlingInsurance.com who help us out, getting the word out there to make sure you get protected. And that also applies to you getting a check if you get hurt. Yes, that is true. With the additional affordable supplemental coverage you can have each month, you can make sure you are covered. If you get hurt, you get a check to help pay those bills and use it toward anything, really. So visit Chris at ProWrestlingInsurance.com. find out how you can get covered. And if you're a promoter, if you need event coverage for your wrestling event, I hear about all these promotions reaching out to him, getting covered. ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Check it out.
Jeremy, what about you? Don't you have some amazing belts?
Nope. That's what I said. I said I don't have anything to promote this week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right. Sounds good. Guys, so Linda, go ahead. Jeremy asked a question about how you felt. He asked both of you all how you all feel towards this promotional thing with TNA or partnership or however you want to say it. Let's hear your thoughts on.
I
go
asked
ahead.
if she ever saw a world where AEW.
Oh, there you go.
WWE.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, well, that too, but just to kind of talk about that initial cross promotion, I was watching NXT live and I saw that. I was like, holy crap. Super excited about seeing Jordan Grace come out and, of course, getting a chance to be the NXT Women's Champion coming up on my Battleground. But as far as additional cross promoting right now with WWE, perhaps with AEW, perhaps with other promotions, I don't see that happening at this moment in time as well. It was already such a huge thing, this huge partnership, Daniel, bringing TNA in with NXT. Was it NXT
NXT, yep.
That's already a huge bombshell, and
I came up with that, by the way. I came up with the NXT.
And by the way, it's trending worldwide right now.
Oh, okay.
NXT
with hashtag Ringside podcast, right? Again, never say never, like Eric said too. But I see right now. I mean, there's already so much going on with that partnership. I think it's going to stay that way right now. Who knows in the future? But right now, I think it's great where things are going. WWE is awesome right now on its own, and bringing, to your point too, Jeremy, it's benefiting the fans. Absolutely, everyone's excited about it. Let's keep it going.
Daniel, do you see a world where at any point in history that WWE and AEW, or has AEW done too much damage? Because I'm on that side. I agree with Eric. Or Eric agrees with me, however you want to put it. I think that Tony shot himself in the foot, especially with all the crazy tweets about the bald bastards or whatever it was, and the crushing of the threat, and just every week him telling people to talk about WWE. Like, it's okay to acknowledge, no pun intended, Roman, to acknowledge other companies existing, but when 50% of your storylines are words that are being said, because they are very action heavy, which I like. But 50% of your words are aimed towards Vince. I mean, even with MJF's little like, why bring up Vince? Who cares? Vince ain't even in WWE no more. Who cares? Like, do you think that they've shot themselves in the foot?
No, and here's why. Because even when Vince was there, we saw some shocking things happen. One day we saw Eric Bischoff come out of the thing and they hugged each other, and Eric Bischoff went over and took over Raw, right? We saw CM Punk come back just recently, and that was a relationship that we thought was never going to happen. I mean, never. Like who would have thought that would have actually came together? Now, yes, AEW was a part of that with him coming back to AEW or him coming back to wrestling period in AEW, and all the stuff that happened that led him to leave and WWE pulled the trigger. He was about to come to TNA. I mean, that's legit, right. Was literally happening.
Yeah.
And
let's not forget the Chris Jericho. I mean, Chris Jericho coming to the Stone Cold podcast sessions.
Yeah, he did. So he did the Stone Cold. Ultimate Warrior came back twice, actually. Once in the 90s, and then later before he went to the Hall of Fame, and then ultimately passing away, which was crazy in itself. So you never say never. Again, we go back to Hogan, Nash, and Scott Hall coming back and with the NWO on WWE TV at the time, which was shocking, and you never thought you would see Hogan ever going back to WWE after how the relationship ended, and so it just you never know. And the one thing that I always wish is that if he lived longer, I think Macho Man would eventually have came back, and they would have been net fits too as well. It's just things, it's so. Granted, those guys had relationships before, they didn't. I know there's a little difference there, but Eric Bischoff didn't. So my key in point in that is that you never know if it's right for business and it makes sense. You can see it happening. Do I see it happening? No, personally, I don't. but I don't want to say it's never going to happen because I never would have thought I saw Eric Bischoff on WWE television either, right?
Yeah, you'll always be wrong. You'll always be wrong if you say, because I mean, CM Punk was the never. Like, I feel like a lot of things were like unlikely. The CM Punk was the never gonna happen, and it happened. So the only thing I'll say never, like unofficial and official can't commingle. That's it. But everything else can happen.
Yeah, when you're official, unofficial can't come in. So yeah, I agree with that. There's no unofficial. I mean, like, there's no unofficial. Like, it almost was weird if us being official or even in the same room as someone that's unofficial. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
I officially agree. I officially agree with the words of you too.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna say there. But yeah.
And really quick before we change, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I thought you saw me getting ready to talk. For our social media people, because I don't imagine we're going to spend too much more time talking crossover, and we could talk about this the next regular episode we have. But at Ringside Podcast, if you could book the NXT TNA, or let's just say the NXT WWE When Worlds Collide pay-per-view, give us 5 matches. Tell us who you would like to see. I've got my opinion again. We can say that for the next episode. We've talked about it for quite a while now, but I'd be interested to see who you all would book. So at Ringside Podcast on Twitter, and just Ringside Podcast on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Here, tweet us, X us, whatever. Post, comment, like, share, support, subscribe. I'm gonna throw out all the words. But yeah, let us know what you think. You can also hit us up on email if you want us, and we'll read it on the show, or we'll somehow tweet it out or put it down. It's ringsidepodcast@gmail.com. We still have that out there. And
or if you want to send
every once in a while get emails.
Self-addressed stamped envelope, you can send him one, or a smoke signal, or Morse code, or the Pony Express. Just however, send it to him.
Message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle. Message in a bottle. Cool. So we can come back to, by the way, again, I know I was going to say one more final thing on TNA besides Against All Odds, going to be June 14th, live in Chicago area. Tickets available now on TNAWrestling.com. Don't forget, but it's on the TNA Plus app. And one thing that's cool that was just announced this week, actually today, but we'll say this week because when this airs, is new news is that TNA Impact, the weekly television show that airs every Thursday night at 8:00, is now going to be live streaming on the TNA Plus app. So it's not, it used to be on demand at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., not 10 a.m., 10 p.m. You used to watch it soon as it ended, it would go on demand there. The Ultimate Insiders that went away, it was on YouTube, went away this past week. You used to be able to watch it starting at 8:30 on there. But it wasn't really live streaming, but it was like a version. But now it's going to be live streaming every week on TNA Plus. So those of you and there's a special program that ends, you just got a couple days left on it to use the promo code to pay-per-view. You get, and then the other promo code, try us. The 2 pay-per-view gets you the World Champion package for $80 off. It's $139.99. It's a whole year of TNA Plus. In addition, you get the Slammiversary and Bound for Glory included in that. If you use if you want to do the monthly subscription, instead of paying $9.99, use the Try Us promo code. You get for 2 months, you get it for $4.99 to try that. You don't get the pay-per-views, but you do get the TNA Plus specials like Against All Odds. You do get that, and of course the weekly television program and all the library and everything else. So plugging that out there because that was cool news that got out there today. Is now if you I don't have Access TV, okay, we'll just get TNA Plus and you can watch it there. And there's still the YouTube Insiders for 99 cents. You can watch it that way too. So if you don't want to pay $10 and get the pay-per-views and stuff, at least you can watch the monthly or the weekly television show. There's no excuse for you not to be able to watch TNA. I'm just saying. And why not? Since TNA is pretty hot right now. Yep. Might as well check it out. So there you go. That's all the TNA. That's all the TNA talk about. That's at least enough of it right now. Let's talk a little bit about. Do we want to talk about AEW? Because it seemed like Jeremy didn't want to talk about it.
let's, you know what, we'll talk about a couple things that happened recently. And you were talking about how hot TNA is. I mean, all anybody's talking about is how hot AEW was, thanks to Darby Allin. And what's crazy about that is that's what everybody's talking about. And MJF came back. So is it another faux pas that once again, you have a big moment, you have the thing that everybody was waiting for, because a lot of people thought that MJF was going somewhere else, and all anybody's talking about is a dude got set on fire. What do you think?
It's very reminiscent of, with Sting and Darby going through the glass off the ladder. I didn't really think about that until you put that into perspective, but that is crazy. I mean,
hey, and by the way, that was real fire, so cry me a river.
Sweet God. Hey, let's also not forget that Adam Copeland broke his leg doing something he should have never attempted at his age.
Yeah.
I mean,
look at it this way, Daniel. I see that you're at a loss for the only other notable thing. Shout out to Swerve Strickland for finally getting the title there. That was a good little deal. The only other thing that was notable since we last met was Tony Khan's leaked footage of the incident that ends up blowing up in his face. What a moron. Like, just, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to talk about them.
Well, I will say this about that leaked footage. All I know is that everything that Phil said on the MMA Hour was exactly what happened. So, I mean, I just was
1,000%.
I don't understand that still to this day. I don't get that. But it's
did it give a little heat to the return of? Did it give a little more heat to the return of Jack Perry? I mean, maybe not as much heat as Darby Allin gave him, but whatever. It didn't do anything for the company other than, I mean, yeah, people are talking about it, but it was bad form. And you're talking about a top star on the other show.
I think Linda had something to say.
I was just gonna flip things and talk about something that I've been enjoying, and that being Timeless Tony Storm, huh? That's been awesome and very entertaining, and bringing in Mariah May and having Luther, just the whole character switch. It's just been very interesting and something very different. That's just been something that's really been catching my eye on TV and on I see online. It's been fun.
And shout out to the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo. Like, I got to give her that. I know I don't know what would happen with me trying to say her moniker right there. That was weird. Well,
but back to what Eric said real quick. Yeah, it gave heat. These people are still chanting another man in another promotion's name 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. It's like, oh, good job. You're promoting CM Punk, who's in another federation. You all know my blood boils. My face gets red. Smoke comes out of my ears. And I know a lot of people think that I dislike AEW. I'm more mad at the fact that this could have been something really big, and instead of being a competitive place for other wrestlers to go to, it has just become an alternative for wrestling fans. It's giving you a place to go earn money and feed your family, but that's about the extent of it.
Well, speaking of CM Punk, we all know that CM Punk, the backstage footage and all that stuff that aired, and the reason why he left AEW was all based on somebody doing internet shit, and having fun with that. Well, now CM Punk is involved in some more internet shit, and it's pretty amazing with him and Drew McIntyre in WWE. So, like, I have to say that it's become my favorite feud that's not even really going to play out anytime soon. But like, Drew McIntyre has a former TNA world champion, by the way, has really took another level of his character with Philly Phil. Like, it's been pretty cool, and I'm liking it. And I can't wait to see Punk show back up and come back at him, because when Punk shows up, he definitely pipe bombs Drew, and then Drew just goes online and pipe bombs him, and it's pretty wild, which, you know, goes back to WrestleMania and the whole cash in and how they did that. And it was pretty amazing how he screwed over, you know, his chance on that. So it's storytelling to its finest. And that's the one thing about I tweeted this out last week after NXT with the whole, you know, Jordan Grace, and then Ethan Page shows up and all this stuff happening, and then you see what's going on Raw and SmackDown right now. Guys, DX is freaking cooking, man, and they are literally running the WWE. And they said years ago they were going to run this company, and it may have, like, they're legit doing it, and it's pretty cool. And shout out to DX. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Yeah. So I'm loving
I thought
the
you
layers.
were talking about them wrestling for the tag team titles. You don't mean that DX. You mean the other DX.
I mean the original
Okay.
DX. So not the Ron Truth, not the Truth Ron Killings one. But no, it's amazing because the layers upon layers of storytelling. I mean, we look at this. Look at the whole storyline for 2 years with Cody Rhodes. It goes back further than that, really. But the 2-year storyline with Cody Rhodes, you had the Bloodline, which was the 3 or 4 year storyline that they came together. That's not even over. They're still going. And I still feel like Cody's involved in that down the road. But you have this whole story, these layers upon layers. Now you've got these layers upon layers of storytelling between Drew and CM Punk and what's happening there, you know, and how that's going to culminate and what's going to happen there. And Seth Rollins might be involved again. Who knows? And what's happening. And then you've got this whole thing with Dom and Rhea and the Judgment Day and Liv, and like there's so many layers that could go that way. And it's like, I don't think that's a story that's going to end in the next 2 months. I think that story is going to go out all the way probably to WrestleMania, and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, story upon story upon story. There's so much you can do with that. So much you can do. And I mean, I was hearing Busted Open today, just them talking about different ideas. And I'm like, man, you can go this way. You can go that way and turn around and go the other way. And then you can come back to that way. Like and that's those little things that they're laying out there. It's pretty amazing. And it's great to see. It's refreshing, actually. It's not like every week you get something different you wasn't expecting, or a match put together that, why are these two wrestling? Like, they actually mean something, you know? And you're going to see Gunther and probably Randy Orton have another match because of how their controversial finish happened at King and Queen of the Ring. So it's like, man, this is just really good. Everybody's cooking right now, and it's exciting to see. Well, WWE and TNA is cooking right now, which is exciting to see.
For sure. Look, the one thing, I'm sorry, Eric, every time I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love this when it gets into this kind of chaotic where all the storylines are intertwined. Because like you said, with Judgment Day and Dom and Liv and then Rhea and Braun and all these people, you know, tied in, and then Drew's tied in with Damian, but Drew's also tied in with Punk. This reminds me of the build to WrestleMania 13, and I've always thought that was one of my favorite builds of all time, because even up to the Raw before Mania, you didn't know what the matches were going to be because the title was switching, you know what I mean? And you had Bret Hart cussing in the ring with the cage halfway up, and you had Stone Cold, interfering in the match, and Sid wins the belt. And I mean, I always loved that build to WrestleMania. So as chaotic as you can get, and not every storyline has to be separate. You know what I mean? I love it when it gets to this way, and that's why I'm all about the way this storyline and all these storylines are going right now.
The one thing that me and you and Daniel, years and years ago when we first started this, we talked about the only thing WWE lacking at the time was long-term stories, long title reigns, things of that nature. And that they've improved on that so exponentially that if you wanted to be a nitpicker, you could say there's too many storylines going on right now. But that'd just be the people that hate WWE and are just AEW heads.
Yeah.
But like you could even you all named a bunch of them that are going on right now, but QR Mania going on right now. My God, that's been going on for 3 months, and that payoff for that is going to be it's almost, and I may be in the minority in this, but I'm afraid it's almost went on so long that it's not going to be able to have a sustained payoff. But I love it every week. I look for all the
disagree.
clues.
I think the rumor and innuendo is that June 17th is going to be the day that the playoff is happening, and I disagree with you. I think it's going to be a huge payoff, and I think it's just going to.
Oh no, I didn't say it wasn't going to be a huge payoff. I said the payoff was not going to. People are going to be very excited for that moment and get very, very bored with the Uncle Howie stuff. Howdy, not Howie. Look, you got me doing my best Daniel Spencer impersonation there. I just don't think it. I think they've let it last a little bit too long, and that there won't be a sustained payoff behind it. But I'm looking forward to it, man. They've teased that June 17th. It's been in the HTML of the QR codes when you go to the website. They've referenced several events that happened on June 17th in history. So we know it's going to be that Raw a week from this Monday, I believe, is the 17th. So I'm excited to see it. I just, if the people who are going to be involved with it aren't bigger stars than what's being rumored, I can see a lot of people being like, oh, well, this sucks now. But I'm all here. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm just all WWE all the time. I want to see it succeed. I just think they let it last a little bit too long, the build up.
Yeah, so I'm still really curious on what's all going to happen. And
and that's your opinion. I think the way the writing is, the way everything's going is, I just don't see them dropping the ball on it, on that. I just see it being, I mean, I could be wrong. You could be right on that down the road. Only time will tell. But off the record, I'm not going to say this online, but remind me to tell you all something when it came to the old regime and how writing and things happen, because I got some insight on all that, and it was pretty interesting and it made total sense. I just can't share it live. Sorry to our fans out there, but if I don't say it now, I'll forget all about it. So, so I want y'all to on that. So, anyways, there's a lot of stuff happening. I mean, and look at this. We had the one half of the women's tag team champions, Jade Cargill, on the show. And I'm telling you what, man, I am loving Jade and Bianca together. I think it's like, it's weird because I was like, oh, they're just putting them together, temporarily or whatever to have a WrestleMania match or whatever. But like, it works, like them two being together. And I do not want to see them break up anytime soon. I don't want to see them going singles. Like, I know that's going to eventually happen down the road, or maybe they'll just shake hands and go on their merry way without fighting each other. But, and I hope that's the way that happens if they do. But I don't even want to see that happen. I want to see them like be a dominant tag team for a long time, and I think they can be, unless Nia Jax and Piper Niven come together, and that'd be to me, that's going to be the only two people that can really stop them in my mind, because they're freaking a powerhouse, and they're stars. Like, I saw Vince Russo tweeted out, as much as I love Vince and sometimes disagree with his tweets a lot, though, he actually tweeted out, like, look at these women are stars, and you look at other people in the ring, they're not, but they just ooze stardom out of them. And Jade Cargill's had that since the very beginning. And she just, needed the time and work, and QT Marshall and Cody and those guys did a great job with her over the years. And now the Performance Center is taking her to another level. But it's amazing of what, just how, I don't know. I don't explain, like, I never would have thought I never would have put them two together. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I never would have been like, yeah, put them two together and make them a tag team, because Bianca was doing her own thing. Jade Cargill came in doing it. Just, to me, it was like they were going to be single stars moving forward, because Jade was always a single star, and so was Bianca. But it just makes sense. It's almost like when they put Cesaro and Sheamus together, right? It was like it just made sense.
No, I just remember at the Rumble, we had that stare down between Bianca and Jade, and you thought in the future you would get this huge feud with one another, but instead,
you might get that. You might get that.
But right now, I agree. Seeing them together, even just like watching, the other, like this week or last week, they just look phenomenal. No pun intended, because I was talking about
Right.
that's like Smackdown,
Right.
not really, but
Well, yeah, the good news is if you want to see them and you want to see them live and up close and you're anywhere near the Louisville area, you can see them this Friday night, June the 7th, at the KFC Yum Center. SmackDown coming to Louisville. So very excited. You'll be able to see all the stars of SmackDown, including Jade and including, well, I'm assuming they were on Raw this week, but who knows? They're the tag team champions. They can go wherever they want. But Cody will be in the house. You know, the Bloodline will be hanging around. AJ Styles, I'm sure, will be there wearing his powder blue jacket or maybe stealing Mark Henry's salmon jacket. I don't know. But anyway, it should be a great show. So you can still get your tickets.
How great was that? How great was
great.
that, by the way? The whole him doing the retirement speech and the parody of Mark Henry. And I've heard people complain all that. I saw it coming a mile away. It doesn't matter. That was the whole point. Like it was supposed to be a parody. It's supposed to be that. It was not supposed to trick you. You know, I mean, I guess people that wasn't a fan 10, 15 years ago, it may have tricked them, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with redoing a story 10, 15 years down the road. I mean, WWE's really been doing that for a long time. And if you watch NXT, Sean has been doing that a lot lately. So you know, it's almost like, it happens, believe it or not, wrestling matches you guys watch, if you really truly are a study of the game, you'll realize that half of that is something Bret Hart did 4 years ago, or not 40 years ago, 40 years ago, sorry, or something like that, right? So it's a lot of times we steal from stuff that was good, and that was so good that it deserved AJ Styles stealing it again and doing it, and you know, some great heat he got on Cody, and we'll see what happens Friday if Cody's gonna, you know, get his revenge back or what. But pretty exciting. How about that? By the way, how about him and Cody and Logan Paul at King and Queen of the Ring? That was a pretty impressive match, and that drone shot too, man. That was just unreal. That was definitely Kevin Dunn is no longer in WWE by seeing those kind of shots. For sure. Yeah. But there's a lot coming up. I mean, a lot of happening. I mean, I'm trying to think, have we tried to touch base on everything happening currently right now in all of WWE, and I just so many layers upon layers.
We touched on Cody, but the return of The Rock. I mean, we're kind of going backwards, but just big moments from this year. I mean, obviously Cody becoming the undisputed.
And we're not done with that. We're not done with that story. The Rock gave him something and said, "Don't break my heart again." So, you know, like that story's not over. You know, and The Rock will be back. But how about the? And I can't wait for that special to finally go out there and air on YouTube of the behind the scenes of setting all that up. I know Brian Goretz. Brian Goretz, yeah. He was on Busted Open a while back, a few weeks ago, and was on it for over an hour and kind of really broke down what really happened with that whole leading up to it and behind the scenes and all that, and how it was The Rock's decision. Like, I really just turned heel, and that was phenomenal because the Final Boss character was definitely probably some of the best heel work we've seen The Rock do in a long, long time. I know we were chopping at the bit to talk about it on this show. Yeah, I mean, he's the greatest of all time for a reason, and he proved it by being the Final Boss. So it was pretty awesome.
The only thing I don't think that we touched on was was down in NXT, the creation of the Women's North American Championship. That is something that I think is going to be such a huge deal. I know we normally save our hot takes for the end of the year. I see a Women's United States and a Women's Intercontinental Championship being introduced within the next 12 months. It's hard to not see how successful it's been other places. Give AEW their flowers a little. Maybe I'll give them bonsai plants, not flowers. They introduced the TBS title for the women, and that has done wonders for that division. And now with Shawn Michaels, I congratulated him. He didn't say anything back because he has me blocked on Twitter. But still irks me to this day. But no, I would love to see those women's secondary titles be introduced on the main roster, because it's valuable and it'll help out the careers a lot more. Shine a bigger spotlight on the women's division.
Yeah. I know block button's been your barbershop window for years there, Jeremy.
Yep, no doubt. Him and Josh Matthews.
Well, I almost got Josh to unblock you, but you didn't hook him up with tickets to the Notre Dame game last year, so that's
false. Listen, I'm not doing this with you.
I'm joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. All right, guys. Listen, we got it was great to finally come back on and reminisce. We got more to come. We'll announce episode 200 as far as who our guest is going to be in the next upcoming days or weeks. And then when to take a look for that. We might have a bonus episode this week. We're kind of waiting on the confirmation of that. So stay tuned to our social media as well as our YouTube, because it will be a YouTube exclusive probably. I don't think we'll have an audio version of that. It'll be a YouTube exclusive that'll go on if that's the case on that portion. Continue to support OVW because we are the official podcast of OVW. Support TNA. Let's support wrestling, period. Support TNA, support WB, and even support AEW because I have friends there. We all have people that we like there. It's just that we get frustrated over how they do things, but overall, it's wrestling. And as long as all companies are running good, putting out good product and still putting out product, period, then there's a world for all of us to work and all of us to be a part of and all of us to enjoy. And that's all it's about. And there's MLW, NWA, others too as well. I don't want to just throw the four that we're talking about out there. So support wrestling for sure. We got a lot of, like I said, once we get episode 200, we're going to change some things up, but we're still going to have a lot of guests coming on over the next year. And we're kind of get back to the groove, so to speak. Just got to figure out our timing of everything there and what we're going to do. So guys, before we start plugging all of our, actually let's do that. You can find us all on the podcast avenues, Google Play, Stitcher Radio. I don't even know if some of these are still a thing anymore, but Apple Podcast, just look for ringsidepodcast.com. When you go there and listen to it that way, you can get us on the YouTube at Ringside Podcast on YouTube. You can get us all on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, all those places at Ringside Podcast, the TikTok at the Ringside Podcast on TikTok. We'll throw some videos up there too as well. Individual on Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Daniel Spencer.
I'm at Jeremy_CSC.
You go, Eric.
I am at Eric on the air.
Sorry, so you said again, Eric. I interrupted you again.
I am at Eric on the air. We got to get the order down here.
That's what I was trying to say, but then I cut into your time. You can find me on Insta at Linda KPWR, on the X at Linda K22. I need to get this all linked in together here, but you can always just go to my website, lovelylindak.com, for all socials and merch. I'm wearing right now. Because are you ready?
Are you ready? That's what DX said. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we go?
I'm just checking my email every 5 minutes. I got an email at 6 o'clock saying that they're still working on our special surprise. Well, it won't be a surprise if it don't happen, but we are working on landing
a bonus episode.
Big deal.
Bonus episode.
So fingers crossed. Say some prayers for us. So this will happen when you get it done. But as of about 2 hours ago, still working on it, and it looks good, as Booker T would say.
All right.
Good.
All right, guys. All right. Well, let's, in the meantime, in between time.
So next time you catch us ringside.
Look out. Here comes the flamethrower.